Hello everybody, my name is Meisterbloo. Welcome back to my Chapter 1 Onikakushi of Higurashi no Nakakoro ni Let's Play. I'm actually in a really good mood because I got a lot of recording done today for my next big anime video, and I got in the mail I got a smartphone holder that attaches to most camera tripods and whatnot, so I actually have, for lack of a better way of putting it, a legitimate camera now, so I can actually do stuff, and it makes me so happy. But then I realized, holy crap, I haven't recorded Higurashi, and I'm all out of, pre-made ones, so I need to make more. So, let's get into this part, because it's getting near the end, and it makes me sad because Chapter 2 is not out yet. Chapter 2 isn't out, so I can't, continue straight on into Chapter 2. Also, I'm noticing it. You guys might notice if I have little rings under my eyes, it's because I'm extremely tired, so I'm not sick or anything, so don't worry about that. I'm just extremely tired. I have been doing constant stuff for the past 4 days now, so just a little sleep deprived. I laughed dryly at the ludicrous image. Coming back to my senses, I smashed the bat against the ground. Damn it! What am I laughing at? Calm down, Keiichi. I pounded the ground over and over. With each impact, the reverberation, that's a fun word, the reverberation traveling through the bat stung my hands. If they make me smile like that, I'll... Don't allow anyone close to me. Don't trust anyone. No matter how many times I tell myself that. If they made me smile like that, I already knew quite well that there were demons dwelling in my smiling friends. But I just couldn't believe it. Did that kind of split personality really exist? Like how Rena confessed to the doctor? Were they simply being possessed by Oyashiro-sama? In other words, did a supernatural being like Oyashiro-sama really exist? And was it possessing everyone to try and kill me? Yeah, that would be wonderful. If only everyone were actually my friends all along and everything was all just Oyashiro-sama's fault. You damned fool, Keiichi Maibara. Come on now. I yelled out, drawing out all the power from the pit of my stomach and raised the bat violently into the air. Stop being so soft! As I screamed out with all my might, I beat the metal bat into the ground over and over. With every impact, my weakness was being beaten down. Smash. Forget. Smash. Don't be soft. Smash. Know your enemy. Smash. Like hell I'd let them kill me. My shoulders heaving up and down from my ragged breathing, I heard the first bell ring just as I calmed down. You know what you should do, Keiichi? Shout! Shout! Let it all out! It'd probably help you in the long run, honestly. It really would. I gasped with sudden realization. That was the final bell. As I felt all the tension drain from me, I let out a deep breath. My mind was in a muddled state for much of the entire day. I didn't feel like I was awake, but I didn't feel like I was asleep either. I couldn't say it felt especially comfortable, but I felt a kind of relief that the sanctity of the school part of my daily life had yet to be violated. How long would I have to keep living on like this? I could only grit my teeth and bear with it as this living hell slowly gnawed away at me. Keiichi-kun! Come on! It's club time! Club time! The sound of Rena's voice brought me back to my senses. Come on, Keiichi! Kei-chan, stop spacing out! That's all the other ones. Bring your desk! Your desk! Everyone was moving their desks together as usual. That's right. It was happy, fun club time. But I had no intention of taking part. I haphazardly stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag as I prepared to go home. It was a weak-handed gesture to avoid having to actually say, I'll be going home now. What's this, Kei-chan? You planning on going home right away? Mion sounded quite disappointed. I'm just not in the mood. Could you just let me be for a while? The tone of the words that spilled from my mouth matched Mion's disapproving glare. It felt like the air in the room had dried out. Satsuko looked like she was about to say something, but perhaps dissuaded by the mood, she swallowed her words and stayed silent. Nobody said a thing. I took that to mean I could leave if I wanted. But the collective gaze of the four of them, like the tiny pins used to mount an insect in a display, held me in place. Rena was the one who cut through the heavy mood.
Keiji-kun, you just didn't like playing with girls, I guess.
She said it in such a melancholic tone that it sent a wave of pain racing through my heart. If this pain was going to kill me, I wanted it to be the soft part of me that it could still feel the pain. I tore at my chest, violently tearing out the pins that held me in place. That's not it at all! I'd only be hurting myself by saying anything more, so I swallowed my words. Cutting things off, there, I turned away and exited the classroom. They didn't speak a word to me as I left. This is so sad! God damn it. It was a long, dull trip back home, but I didn't lose focus. I firmly squeezed the grip of my bat, which was already soggy from sweat. Realizing that, I wiped it down with my sleeve. If something were to happen, I wouldn't want it to be slippery. Since this morning, I'd become especially sensitive to the presence of cars. Even while walking, my ears pricked up and sought out threatening, I'm assuming that's what it's supposed to be, and sought out threatening sounds and presences that could be closing in. And that was why I could hear it. Without a doubt, there were footsteps. Those footsteps had matched up perfectly with mine for a while now. From what I could sense, it was just one person. But I had no intention of being careless. Did they intend to follow me like that car this morning, until we were in a good location to assault me? Then it wasn't a good idea to keep walking like this. I stopped walking and looked back. The wooded path crowded with trees responded with silence as if there was nobody there to begin with. But I wouldn't be fooled. I was certain footsteps were following me. And just as I stopped, the footsteps stopped as well. Meaning, the person following me wanted to keep their distance. That was, without question, proof that I was their target. I held my breath, waiting for that presence to panic and start moving again. The trees rustled with the sound of wind. The Higurashi also joined in the dissonant chorus, trying to throw off my focus into a disarray. Had 5 minutes passed? Or had I been like this for the whole 30 minutes? It was so hard to breathe that I might have suffocated. It seemed I would be the first one to panic. Without a doubt, he was lurking in the shade of that tree with bated breath. Then, I'd make the first move. I fixed my grip on the bat. I raised it up to my shoulder to be ready to swing at any time. Hey! I know you're there! With all of my might, I screamed at whoever was hiding in the shade of the trees. But the presence in the shade didn't budge. Until the moment I found them, they had no intention of revealing themselves. I know already! I know you're there! I screamed out angrily at them again, but even still, they didn't move at all. Then I'll go over there myself. With all due vigilance, I approached, step by step. Stepping into the tree's shadows, I saw a human figure there. That figure was curled up like a small animal. Oh. Rena! When she realized I had found her, her expression softened. She seemed apologetic, but wasn't going to speak a word. Did you have some business with me? I wouldn't accept that silence and screamed the question at her.
Not really, it's just,
Rena was in a panic with tears welling up in her eyes, but it was obvious that she had been following me.
What about
the club?
Since you're not, I'm not.
That shouldn't matter. Don't mind me and just play.
But I'm just worried about you.
Thinking about how I'd been acting up until now, it wasn't hard to imagine that my behavior could have been perceived as strange. So Rena was concerned at a quick glance, that's how it would seem. But I wasn't going to let my guard down that easily. Even if that really was the case, she still wouldn't have to do something like try to tail me. She should have called out to me when I was leaving and gone out right with me. But Rena didn't do that. She kept her distance from me and matched my walking speed. On top of that, she matched the sound of her footsteps and deviously tried to hide her presence from me. Then, after she realized I noticed she was there, she held her breath as she tried hiding from me. She wore a timid expression that would force one to take pity on her, but without a doubt, she was tailing me. "Stop following me."
Huh?
Still glaring at Rena, I continued to walk onwards. After I'd walked for a bit, she ignored my command and began walking again, so I yelled at her once more. "I told you not to follow me!"
But my house is in the same direction.
"Then walk ahead of me. I'll start walking once I can't see you anymore." I moved out of the way and waved my bat violently to urge her forward.
I'd like to go home together with you.
Making a pitiful expression, she meekly squeaked out the words in a voice she knew would cut to my heart. That agitated me to no end. I knew it was a lie. If you wanted to go home together, then you should have called out to me. Now you're just blurting out random lies.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It seemed like the seething anger within me was written all over my face. Even without me saying anything, Rena had understood what I was feeling inside. "If you get it, then go!" I swung the bat, urging her again to walk. Rena looked back and forth between me and the bat and started walking hesitantly, then stopped again. "Go on then! Hurry!"
I'm going, so please stop with the bat. It's scary.
Rena guarded herself while pointing at me, holding the bat. She may have realized that I wasn't planning on using this bat for baseball. I lowered the bat, but still guardedly opened the way for her. "Go. There's no problem now, is there?" There was nothing else she could protest. She passed by me timidly so as not to set me off. As I watched her pass by, she stopped completely after having barely moved at all. "Hey, don't stop!" Then, a powerful gust blew past us, barraging my face with dust. The dust got into my eyes and clouded my vision. While rubbing my eyes with my left hand, I swung blindly with the bat in my right, protecting the small opening I had presented. But Rena didn't even try to attack me during that opening. Attack me? No, she hadn't even budged an inch. I could tell from the sound of her fluttering skirt in the wind. As her skirt settled, so did the silence. At that moment, the voice inside of me immediately warned me of impending danger. I was caught by surprise. The smell of the air had changed? Without me realizing it, the air around me suddenly felt like a calamity was about to befall me. It was like the air had suddenly become invisible concrete, like Rena and I were locked in this space. Rena didn't move an inch. Also unable to move, I stared right back at her. Rena was the first to break the silence. Instantly, she altered her stance. I felt like I had just witnessed her shift from Rena into that other person who looks like Rena. But the voice was one I knew well, which filled me with a kind of bewildering pity. Carelessly, I felt relief upon hearing that pitiful voice.
Well, excuse me, but can I ask you something?
Too shy to even turn around, Rena squeezed her voice out desperately, as she trembled. "What?"
Well, why do you have a bat, I wonder?
The question Rena asked was by no means unexpected. I can carry whatever I want.
But you didn't have one up until today. Why so suddenly?
It's alright if I decide to do something suddenly, isn't it? Is it strange that I have a bat?
Because, Keiichi, you're not the kind of person to play baseball. It's weird.
I couldn't tell what kind of answer she was looking for, and I was getting tired of answering her. I just suddenly got the urge to play baseball. Is that so weird?
It's weird.
She answered instantly, and that annoyed me slightly. I just suddenly wanted to play baseball, and I wanted to practice my swing, so I'm carrying around a bat. What's strange about that?
Strange? Weird. Definitely. Why is Keiichi-kun also?
Your ramblings are annoying me. Is it strange for me to have an interest in sports? I tried to sound a bit more threatening to end the conversation. Until my suspicions about Rena were cleared, I had no obligation to answer her questions.
I'm sorry. Don't get so angry.
Rena still didn't turn around and spat out words of apology one after the next.
Just one last thing. Tell me one last thing.
I don't feel like talking anymore. Hurry up and go. I yelled loudly at her, causing her to flinch like she had been struck. Seeing her in such a pathetic state caused my heart to ache sorely. But even though she was afraid, she stubbornly kept herself from moving. Before I was able to threaten her again, Rena asked her final question.
Why is that bat the same, too?
What did she mean by the bat was the same? I had no idea what she was talking about. What are you saying?
I mean, why is even the bat the same?
I don't understand what you mean at all. Say it clearly. Even still, Rena didn't turn around. After inhaling deeply, she screamed.
I mean, why is even the bat the same as Satoshi-kun's?
Satoshi? Being... Huh? Upon hearing that name out of the blue, I became dumbfounded for a brief moment. By Satoshi, did she mean the student who transferred out last year? No, that couldn't be. Rena had tried to cover it up by saying he transferred, but Oishi-san had told me quite clearly that he was missing. He was the student who sat in my seat up until last year. He was believed to have been demoned away by Oyashiro-sama's curse. I didn't know the details about his disappearance. The aunt he lived with was killed the night of the Watanagashi by a drug addict, and not long after that he suddenly vanished and now was missing. That Satoshi and I were... what? My gaze fell to the bat in my hands. Could it be? Satoshi Hojo. It was a bit difficult to see, but that was what was written on the white tape at the end of the bat. I see. So this was Satoshi's bat. Oh. This was Satoshi's bat. Since nobody was using it, I borrowed it. It's not a problem, is it?
But that's not it.
The way Rena said that, it made it seem like this bat was something that should never be touched. Like it was some sort of offering at a shrine or a memento of the deceased. I could only stand there, perplexed and unable to respond. Rena continued speaking without waiting for a reply.
Why is it that you're doing exact same thing Satoshi-kun did when it happened to him?
Rena was talking about more than just the bat belonging to Satoshi.
It was the same with Satoshi-kun. He joined a baseball team, but he didn't really like baseball.
What does that have to do with me?
Satoshi-kun also suddenly started walking around with the bat one day. He joined a team, but he wasn't the type to play sports.
What about it? I closed my mouth before I could say that out loud. Listen carefully, Keiichi. Rena is trying to tell us something important.
Satoshi-kun also one day came to school all by himself all of a sudden. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he started practicing his swing. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly began carrying the bat around with him. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly...
Then one day he suddenly what? Rena had swallowed her words. Rena's sudden silence brought a hush back to the surrounding area. It was then that I could finally digest the content of the entire conversation. She was saying my chain of actions was exactly the same as Satoshi's. What was the meaning of this? Up until now, I'd forgotten all about Satoshi. I'd never paid much thought to him in the first place. Not only that, I didn't even know anything of what he'd done. My actions today should have been my own creation, after all the planning I'd done. But they had been the exact same as Satoshi's? Then Satoshi... No, more importantly, if both Satoshi and I acted the same, then there was a really good possibility that what happened after would be the same. Rena, that day, what happened to Satoshi? And we're gonna find that out in the next episode. Cliffhanger! Thank you all for watching. Oh, this is the most intense scene of the first part, I think. So, I will see you all in the next video, hopefully. Until then, everybody, peace out.